It seems like this year's E3 was very different overall. I'm not sure if it was good or bad, but it's weird that we got so many small games, so many pre-rendered cutscenes instead of actual gameplay, and the fact that Sony didn't even bother showing up is still just kind of baffling. But when you think about how the next generation is about to begin, it sort of makes sense. But even still, I wanted to try and take a look at stuff that really did blow my mind. What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and this is Top 10 Thursday, and this time we're going to be digging into my picks of the top 10 best games from E3 2019. Number 10. Watch Dogs Legion. Something I'm a really big fan of in current generation games is innovation. The stuff that comes out that tries to just be so wildly different that you've never seen it before, and Watch Dogs 3, which is now being called Legion, is something so totally different, which is that you can recruit and play as basically any character in an entire digital city of London. That means you can literally walk up to an old lady and get her to become your own assassin, or talk to a random hacker dude and get him to tap into some local drones, or maybe just find a bare-knuckle brawler to do that next mission and beat people up for you. It's so much of a breaking of conventional rules. Not only is it just different because there's going to be hundreds of playable characters potentially, but it just looks fun to see something that is just so different. Number 9. Halo Infinite. So for this list, I really tried to find the games that had the most stuff that they showed, the most details, the most interviews, the most stuff to really get us hyped, and I'll admit that Halo Infinite was barely even there. It got like a 2-minute teaser trailer and nothing else. But even still, I can't say that I'm not absolutely freaking out that we see a classic return to form. Just looking at the trailer, it looks like we're going back to the original Halo. There's been talks from some of the developers that it's going to have a major multiplayer aspect, so the entire game can be possibly 4-player co-op or maybe even more, and it's Master freaking Chief. Even though this is a smaller game, I'm excited the fact that this is the first next-gen experience that's been fully confirmed. This is an Xbox Scarlet, and I'm just so curious to see what's next. Number 8. Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I've had some pretty big problems with the last couple Ghost Recon games, mostly because they feel like they're open world just for the sake of being open world. It's not about just trying to tactically take down targets, so much as it is about having a massive map to keep you confused, lost, and quite frankly playing longer. This game though, it looks ultra focused. They're finally revealing a ton more about it, and it seems like we're going to be like these super ultra awesome soldiers who are trying to sneak into a futuristic city that's taken over by crazy militia dudes, which means that we're going to be sneaking through areas that have high-tech weaponry, all sorts of cool AI stuff, and just really a lot of opportunities to take down an overwhelmingly giant force with the most brutal and guerrilla tactics. I'm a fan of this game, and I want to see a lot more of it. Now that they've showed us some gameplay and showed us more about the story itself, I am super excited just to try the beta to see how fun or bad this ends up being. Number 7. Luigi's Mansion 3. So, as many of you may know, I am somebody who is just super into survival horror. I love the idea of trying to conserve ammo and being scared and trying to worry about going deeper into a crazy maze of stuff that wants to kill you. And let's face it, Luigi's Mansion isn't going to be conventionally terrifying, but even still, I like that they're leaning more into the spooky elements of it. There's more ghosts, more abilities to fight them, and more reasons to just suck stuff up. But the reason I'm putting this on the list is actually because they have said a lot about multiplayer. It's going to be fully co-op where you can play as Luigi or Gooigi, and even stuff like some sort of towers that you're going to be able to climb while fighting waves of different undead with your buddies. This seems so good and like such a huge leap over the previous Luigi's Mansion games, so I'm definitely buying it day one no matter what. Number 6. GhostWire Tokyo. Continuing the themes of awesome frights, we gotta talk about the new project being done by Tango. Now, this reveal is independently my very favorite of any of the teasers we saw, because basically Shinji Mikami, the creator of Resident Evil, came out on stage and said, "Hey, I'd like you to talk to my new disciple, the person I've been training for years," and he essentially passed the torch of horror to the newest figure, which is this little Japanese woman who came out to reveal that this game is spooky. I love her spirit, I love her energy, and more than anything, I love their game. It seems like it's going to be sort of a mystery thriller with a heavy focus on action, where we're playing as maybe tourists or people who have just come to Tokyo when 99% of the population has vanished, and the rest are being killed off by what can only look like supernatural ghouls. It really looks like they're combining all sorts of different mythology from different cultures. Spirits, vampires, evilness from all around the world being congealed in one spot, or at least that's the way it seems to me, just by judging by the different cool aesthetics that they've shoved into this trailer. I'm definitely playing this, but I do hope that we see a lot more of it very, very soon. Number 5. Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. I've always personally believed that one of the most underrated Nintendo gems ever is definitely Link's Awakening. Now, this game obviously sold millions of copies, it's not super obscure, but when it comes to the general Zelda fanbase, I do think that most people have completely overlooked it and never gave it a fair chance. And that is part of the reason that I am just so thrilled that it's coming back in a full-blown remake. Now, the art style is still a little bit jarring to me, but in general, this seems to still have the mini-games, the bosses, the craziness, and even the additional secret dungeon that they included in Link's Awakening DX. This is everything I wanted and so much more, and one of those games that I think as soon as I saw some real raw, uncut stuff of people just running around, I knew it was going to be absolutely epic. Number 4. Shenmue 3. Up until now, a predominant chunk of the gameplay and stuff we've seen for this game has been, well, just very pre-rendered looking. While we understood that it was combat and collecting and just the general stuff that we like in Shenmue, one of my biggest fears was the fact that it seemed like everything was just so behind closed doors. Well, at E3, they really just handed the controller to people and let them, for the very first time, play Shenmue 3, and it seemed like everybody completely loved it. You can wander around, you can get into fights, you can level up your skills. It's just freaking Shenmue, a game I've waited nearly 20 years to be a reality, and I'm just so thrilled about it. Now, I still just want to see more of it, simply because it is months down the road, and I'm really hoping they release that demo soon, but just getting a glance at it, I'm so glad that I actually backed this on Kickstarter so long ago. Number 3. Doom Eternal. Throughout the last decade, there's been so many unsuccessful reboots, times where franchises have tried to reinvent themselves in new and interesting ways and just end up completely destroying their fanbase in the process. But one that just kind of shocks me because it works so stupendously has been Doom. Now, the first game of this new franchise came out in 2016, and here we are 3 years later, getting a humongous sequel. It seems like it's faster, gorier, has more kills, lots of different weapons, and in additionally Giant Edition, which is a multiplayer mode that lets players be either demons or the Doomslayer himself. This seems like it's just throwing every idea they've possibly come up with into one giant project. Now, this is supposedly coming out very, very soon, and let's face it, this is probably going to be Game of Year 2019, and I'm just so ready to play it because I want to rip and tear. Number 2. Cyberpunk 2077. Occasionally, there are games that come along that just seem absolutely impossible, where the graphics are photorealistic, the combat is deep and intricate, and just in general, the story seems to be top freaking notch. But what's funny is that all of this is combined together to create the eternally epic freaking Cyberpunk. Now, during their reveal, they not only announced that Keanu Reeves is going to be in this game and help you out, but they showed so many new abilities that are going to let you customize yourself, your skills, your freaking blade hands. I'm going to play through this like Edward Scissorhands and chop up everybody I possibly can and be ultra evil when it comes out in 2020. This is good, this is great, and I think it's going to be one of those things that really pushes the entire gaming industry forward when it drops. Number 1. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Okay, so I'm sure some people are just kind of scratching their heads and being like, really? Is this the best game they showed? But come on, of course it freaking is. We got gameplay that showed the fact that you can just stop time and attack people with giant super attacks. We saw new magic. We saw the fact that Tifa is a giant freaking muscly babe who's ready to destroy the universe. This game is pressing every single button right. Now, I am still nervous about the fact that it's episodic, but the entire first chapter coming out next year and having all of the content of Midgar plus new stuff, maybe it'll have like extra cutscenes, extra story, extra prequel mechanics, a bunch of stuff to finally expand the Final Fantasy VII universe. Now, let's face it, I love Final Fantasy VII. It's my favorite game of all time, but just getting more of it, more different stuff to completely blow our minds, in my opinion, is the ultimate good news. But this has just been my opinion. What did you think of it? Have you gotten a chance to watch all the different stuff from the different press conferences? And is there something that I didn't mention that blew your mind? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Hold on, let me grab this. This is the super rare Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. I got it from Japan a long time ago. Look at the whole box in Japanese. I'm so excited for this game to come back, and I'm just going to blow up so many Maker reactors. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.